Hello world, friend, this is Jade's Videos, and today I am back with another Spirit Halloween 2021 animatronic review, and this one is on my favorite Halloween animatronic of 2021, Grimm. Now, if you didn't know, like I just said, Grimm is my favorite animatronic of 2021, and that may shock some people, because usually either the werewolf or the demon would be my favorite, and we got both the werewolf and the demon this year. However, Grimm just takes the cake for me for multiple reasons. For one, the servo motor is just killer, but that's not even the only reason that I like this guy. I just love that he's a classic Halloween skeleton. It's been something I've been wanting to see for a while, and yes, we do get pose and stay skeletons, all of that, but I mean a full animatronic classic Halloween skeleton. Full, true to size, awesome, just animatronic skeleton that's a classic Halloween staple. I've been wanting that for so long, and we finally got one, and he is one of the coolest ones ever that I've seen. And we don't have very many skeletons, but out of all the animatronic skeletons that we've ever gotten, I think he might be the best one we've ever seen. He actually might be one of, people are gonna come at me for this, but he might be one of the best props of all time. Just because he's definitely the most professional prop Spirit's ever sold. There's so many cool things about him, and I'm just so excited to jump into this review. So let's get at it. Look at that face. Look at how cool that face looks. It does have some really good detail. Now, if you're looking at it from far back, you might just be like, oh, it's just a cheap plastic skeleton, but it does actually have some really good detail in there that looks like an actual skull. I love those eyes, they look awesome. I know some people have complained about it having eyes since, you know, skeletons typically don't have eyes, but I actually like the eyes. For one, they move around, which is super cool, but two, I really just think it adds to the classic Halloween skeleton aspect of him, because typically, you know, classic Halloween skeletons that are actually moving, living, or unliving skeletons have eyes, and I think it looks super cool. So I really like that. His head just looks great, and as we move down, there's not going to be too much to talk about his overall appearance because he looks great. I think he looks phenomenal. However, he just looks like a basic skeleton, so there's not really any special features to his appearance, but that's exactly why I like him, because he's a basic Halloween skeleton. Right down here that you have his rib cage and such, looks great. Some dark detailing on that there to give it some more texture. You can, this is an issue, you can see his speaker, but that's not too big of a deal, but you can see it a little bit, but like I said, it's not too big of a deal, to be honest. Now, what is a big deal though is the fact that his speaker is pretty bad quality, but I will talk about that a little bit later on in the review. Moving down here, you can see his hands, which one thing I don't like is that they're kind of webbed in between the fingers, but I mean, I get why, because it adds more stabilization, whereas if they were just fingers, they could easily break off probably. But one cool thing is his arms are posable, so this part right here is posable. And so are the upper shoulder parts. These are posable. Now be careful with this one because there's a motor in that one. But the other one, you can move it however you want. I mean, you can move the motor one however you want. You just should be very careful with it because there's a motor in it. But I really do like how his arms are posable and his hands. That's just a great feature. I didn't even mention, but his hands are posable too. That's a great feature to him. Well, we're talking about down here, let's talk about his legs. Basic skeleton legs. Cool looking though, there's his feet at the bottom there. He's got a pretty massive base, but I could definitely understand why because of the pose that he's in and everything. Really, it's just really cool to see a prop like this that's just a full animatronic skeleton because of the fact that it doesn't have any clothing to cover up the mechanisms or anything. The mech is all built in around, like all the wires and stuff are obviously in his spinal cord, and in the head here is, I'm pretty sure his servo is in the actual head. And so that's actually really cool to see because it makes him seem very lifelike. And the fact that he's moving around yet you can't see any of his wires, it makes it kind of eerie. And I forgot to mention, but his IR sensor is right here, right on his pelvis, very well blended in there because it has a white cap on it. So that is very well blended into his pelvis there and his overall skeleton. Now, like I said, the detail on this guy is pretty good, though he's just a basic skeleton, so there's not much to talk about in that. But what there is a lot to talk about is just the pure character and awesomeness to this guy, and the fact that he has a servo motor. Obviously, the Inferno Reaper at Home Depot has a servo motor, but I'm not as big of a fan as him, though I do like the Inferno Reaper. There's a few reasons why I don't like him as much. I don't really care too much for his phrases and stuff, and also I mean, I love Reapers. I actually love Reapers more than skeletons. But Grimm just appeals to me because we don't get many skeletons, whereas we get a lot of Reapers. Also, another thing with Inferno is that his servo is not as active as Grimm's. It definitely does not move around as much, and I would assume the reason is because he's wearing the hood, but I don't really know. Maybe they just didn't make it move around as much for whatever reason. But Grimm, his movement is just amazing. I mean, he lifts and lowers his arm, he turns side to side, he's got the servo which moves his head, he's got moving eyes. Really spectacular animation in this guy. And actually, one thing that I liked about him when I saw him for the first time that wasn't even the servo was actually just the side-to-side turning, because it's very fluent, it looks very lifelike. All of his animations put together, like the fact that he turns his head the same time he turns his body to the side when he looks around, just looks so lifelike and realistic that it's just super cool. He has a great voice too. I think his voice fits him very well, has a voice that you'd picture a skeleton having, if that makes any sense at all. It definitely sounds like a classic Halloween skeleton voice if you were to think about what a skeleton would talk like. Another thing with him is, I know some people have complained about his phrases and how they're not the scariest, but he's not supposed to be a scary animatronic, so that doesn't bother me at all. Yes, he can be very creepy, especially with his movement. I'm sure he would creep out quite a few people. However, he's not supposed to be scary. He's more of just a, ooh, that's a cool Halloween skeleton. He's more of just a one where you're like, wow, that's cool. So, one thing I do want to mention is, since I'm doing a Haunted Mansion themed haunt, a lot of people have told me, obviously this year, since my theme for 2021 is a Haunted Mansion theme, a lot of people have told me, is this guy going in your haunt because he works well for it? Because yes, skeletons do work well in Haunted Mansions. It's kind of a yes and no, because he's not going in the haunt, but he's being used in the haunt. I will elaborate. He is going right outside the facade of the mansion, basically welcoming guests in, but I don't want him within the actual haunt because I don't feel like he's scary enough to be a haunt prop, but I feel like he's great as a showstopper, welcome in animatronic to really captivate guests right at the beginning. And I think it works perfectly because he says your host is not here right now, they're busy burying something in the backyard. For one, that phrase works very well for a mansion because they're burying something in the backyard. But also the fact that he says your host is not here right now, people are going to hear that before they enter the haunt, basically saying, wait your turn. So I feel like he's a really good prop to put at the entrance. Really phenomenal prop, and also he's very versatile because he's a skeleton. He can be used for a lot of themes if you want to, because really, if you don't just want him as a basic skeleton, and what I honestly might do for my haunt is dress him up. You can, I'll probably put like a white top hat and a white suit on him to make him look a little bit more like a ghostly skeleton. You can dress this guy up for anything, and it's really awesome. You can make him a scarecrow, you can make him a witch, you can make him, if you're doing creepy Christmas, you can dress him in a Santa suit, you can do top hats, you can do all sorts of crazy cool things on this guy, and it's just so great how versatile he is. Also, before I get into the demo, let me mention the price on this guy is $279.99, also made by Seasonal Visions International. $279.99, fantastic price. I'm sorry, but that is an amazing price. And you know what? I hardly ever say that. I hardly ever say, wow, this is a good price. I usually say, either this is a bad price or this is a decent price but it could be cheaper. This guy, he's got a great price. If I love Buzzsaw, I have him, he's right next to him, but I gotta say, when comparing to Buzzsaw, this guy's definitely more worth his price because this guy has a servo motor. Those are very advanced and they cost a lot. Actually, you could buy a skull like this off of Fright Props before this guy came out, which is literally a skull with a servo motor, and it would cost you over $100 just for the skull. You've got a full animatronic here with a moving arm, moving waist, moving eyes, moving head, moving jaw, and a servo motor that controls the head, eyes, and jaw. That's just a lot for $280, and I think he's definitely worth it. I could definitely see this guy priced at $350. I'm very surprised they didn't price him that high. He definitely would have made sense as being the $350 or $300 animatronic of the year. I would have understood it. But they did $280, and honestly, that's not bad at all because most likely you're not even going to be paying that because you're going to be using a coupon, employee discount, whatever you've got. You are not going to be getting this guy for much. I'm pretty sure with a 20% off coupon, you would get him around $224. With employee discount, he's $209. Really great price for a prop like this. But I'm going to jump right into the animation now so you can see how wicked this prop is.
Your host is ours!
So yeah, overall a really great prop. Really my only issue is that I wish his speaker quality was better, but other than that, and it's not really a big deal because you can plug in an external speaker jack to him, so that's not a big deal at all. That's an easy fix there. But other than that, really phenomenal animatronic. I do wish, and this is just a little personal thing, that if they ever do any more props like this, which I am sure they will do more servo motor props, I would like, and this is honestly on all props, I would like an option where they just move and look around or just laugh. You can have an option where you switch them to that, because then this guy can work in an actual scary haunt. I mean, he can anyways if you want him to, but I feel like having a laughing or just moving option would be really cool for this guy. So if you don't want him talking, he doesn't have to talk and he can just look around. I think that would be really cool, especially for a prop with all this animation, because he would still be stellar even if he wasn't talking. Like I said, I love his phrases, but it's just a little thing I just want to throw out there to the companies for something I think would be cool in the future. I know there are a few different props out there with different modes, but I really think a lot more companies should definitely journey into that, especially Seasonal Visions, because Seasonal Visions is like on top of their game with the innovative stuff in the industry right now. They've made a lot of things this season and even last season that have really changed the Halloween industry as a whole, and I really think that they're one of the companies that can definitely get onto that trend of having like different options. So I just want to throw that out there, that I think that would be really cool, especially for these servo motor props, which I hope they keep making. I think that would be a really cool added feature, but for all animatronics, I think that would really be cool. But either way, awesome prop. Highly recommend him if you can't tell already. I'm giving this guy a full 10 out of 10. He's spectacular. There's really nothing wrong with him other than that speaker thing, but I feel like I kind of know why the speaker's not too good quality, because of the fact that he's a small, like he's a skeleton, and I don't know, maybe it would make his bones vibrate too much, maybe it's just not enough power in there, I don't know. But I'm sure there's a reason to that, and I definitely think it has to do with the fact that he is all built into this skinny skeleton thing, and that's probably the reason why. But phenomenal prop. Absolutely love him. Best one of the year in my opinion, and I highly recommend him. If you want to get this guy, grab him as soon as possible, because I'm pretty sure he'll be a great seller, as the Home Depot skeleton last year was, because obviously people just really like skeletons. But another thing is, it's innovative, just like the Home Depot skeleton was. And the Home Depot skeleton's selling good this year too. Innovative props like this are great sellers, and I really think he is going to be one of the best sellers this season. So if you want him, grab him while you can, and honestly, though it is expensive, it's 100% worth it for a prop like this. I hope you all enjoyed. Keep howling at the moon, my werewolves.